Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us today for this Smart Grid Operations webinar. Some of you may have already gotten a chance to see a little bit of how it works at the Distributech conference a few weeks ago, but today we're going to be giving you all an overview and a demonstration of how the software works. If you have any questions during the presentation, there is a Q&A box below that you can put them in, and we'll try to get to as many as we can at the end of the presentation. If we don't get to your question, we're going to be sending out a follow-up email after the webinar with all of our contact info, so you can reach out to us with any questions that we don't cover. So to kick this off, here is our VP of Marketing, Mike Gunling.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being here. At Distributech, we had a lot of great conversations around smart grid and what that means and what utilities are being asked to do today to enable the future grid. So as we all understand with grid modernizations, we're facing increasing pressure to deploy new technologies and IoT sensors and network devices, these connected assets that help us not only manage the transmission and distribution networks that we have today, but also enable new technologies as well, like electric vehicle charging stations, solar generation, different types of energy storage technologies, and all those things. It represents a paradigm shift, and that's the conversation we're having with our utility customers about how they can actually start managing and getting ahead of the deployment of the new grid, which is largely enabled by these types of IoT sensors. So with the proliferation of these sensors, the planners, the control center operators, and the engineers face a different type of task, and new challenges and new opportunities arise. Clearly, there are new opportunities with things like power inverters and things like that are helping solve some of the challenges of the modern grid and the two-way grid and the complexity associated with that. But what is also true about the opportunities is that this is a completely new way of managing distributed assets. We're talking about millions of network devices that need to be deployed. They need to be maintained themselves, and they also give us intelligence and insights into the operation of the future grid. Some of those challenges that we have built a platform that is dedicated to solving, purpose-built for this smart grid type of operations, is you have multiple vendors with multiple different types of solutions, from transformer monitors, power line sensors, electric vehicle charging units, all these different types of communicating and monitoring devices placed throughout the network. How do you actually manage and deploy all of those? You don't want a point solution for every single type of device or every single type of connected asset. What the operations really needs is a way to deal with multiple vendors, multiple types of platforms, multiple types of networks, different communication technologies, but be able to do that through a single pane of glass, so it can manage that digital infrastructure and manage that successfully. So our solution is believing that this smart grid challenge that we have before us requires a new type of software that was purpose-built to be a ubiquitous and a agnostic software solution tool for field operations that allows you to manage the deployment of these types of solutions. I'm going to turn it over to Dave Basil, the president and CEO of TerraGo, and he's going to go through the platform, and then we're going to show you the platform and its features before we get into Q&A. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. As Mike said, this is Dave Basil, President and CEO here at TerraGo. I'm going to give a quick company overview so everybody knows who we are if you haven't heard of us already, and then talk a little bit about our software platform for the smart grid. So we've been around, as you can see, we've been around for more than 17 years now. We're a pure software company based just outside of Washington, D.C. We've been dealing with field operations from the beginning. So over 17 years now dealing with field operations software. We started actually in the defense and intelligence space, you can see there. And over the last 7 or 8 years, we started working in the smart city and smart utility space. We now have a couple thousand customers all around the world. So we are US based, but we are a global company with many customers all around the world in many countries. What we built, and I'm on the bottom left here, IoT operations. What we built is a software platform that really manages all sorts of devices, whether that's smart grid devices, or you might know of us from our smart streetlight solution as well, which is also a smart device, smart LED conversions. but our platform is built to support cities and utilities alike, small and large, and really focus on all of the challenges that Mike just mentioned around managing devices across the city and utility space, all kinds of smart and connected and non-connected devices as well. We focus on making your field operations extremely efficient and productive, managing these devices all in one platform and helping you to be more efficient and lower your O&M costs. We've had a lot of experience and success on the smart streetlight side. Again, our platform is ubiquitous across all types of smart and unconnected devices. But at this point, we actually have over 3 million just streetlights under management. And so it's a proven software solution, again, around the world. As you can see on the right-hand side, many of the large utility customers in the US are actually leveraging our platform, as well as many cities, international global cities around the world. Next slide. So a little bit about our platform here. So this is the GridOps configured solution, part of our software that we're going to show you today. Again, we call it a smart grid field operations software. We call it operations software because we really focus in on the operations organization and team and contractors and field crews that are really the physical management and maintenance of these devices in the field. So one thing that I mentioned is that it is a multi-device platform, so it can manage any kind of device. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And the key here is that every one of our customers uses our software a little differently. So as you can see in the second bullet there, it's very, very configurable. We have 3 parts to our software. One is there are functional modules, which I'll go over in a minute. The next one is integrations, which I'll also go over as well into third-party and back office systems. And the third one is an analytics view of the data itself. And I'll go over that as well. Excuse me, sorry about that. So Mike had mentioned the term single pane of glass. And that's kind of key here when you're dealing with so many different devices out in the field, all of your smart connected devices out in the field. And as Mike mentioned, not having individual point solutions for each one of those, but be able to see all those devices in one single pane of glass. We're going to show you how that works. Some of the devices that we're talking about here, as you can see, are things like, and not limited to these, but line sensors, transformer monitors, different networking gear as well that builds your mesh and cellular networks out there, meters, pole tilt sensors, EV charging stations. All of this can be managed with one TerraGo implementation. And then some of the use cases, kind of the operational process and workflow use cases you can see are things like audits and surveys, inventory management of these smart deployed devices, maintenance and diagnostics, interacting with the devices as well. So you can do different field level interactions with those devices, whether it's different types of control or scheduling or pulling statistics, things like that from that. And then also being able to manage all of this in a work management optimization process as well. So everything can be wrapped within all these activities. Installation maintenance can be wrapped within work orders. Okay, next slide. So this slide kind of goes over a very high level version of our architecture. So you can see, as I mentioned before, there's 3 different user interfaces to our software at the very top here. There are mobile applications that are configured for our customers' use in the field. Clearly, these are used by the field crews in the field. iOS and Android, phones and tablets alike, all very simply downloaded for free from the app stores, configured for our customers, and then used in the field. These mobile apps have been developed specifically for field crew use. We focus on that because we know they're the boots on the ground that actually do the install and maintenance of these devices. So we and you all need them to use the software in order to get them the right data, the right capabilities, and actually to support and do their job, and then also get the right data from the field back into the office as well, in a very simple nature where a field crewman will actually want to use the software because it helps them do their job. There's a web front end as well that's typically used in the office for supervisor management operations folks, where you can see the entire portfolio of all your devices on a map, all the data, all the integrations, everything through the web app. And then there's the third UI, which I mentioned earlier, which is analytics. These are dashboards. Again, everything here is all configurable for our customers. So the dashboards are really focused in on key performance metrics, right? So you guys own the metrics that you're being measured on, whether you're identifying them or your organization. Those metrics will be configured into dashboards specifically for you, and then real-time tracking toward those metrics based on your operational data that's already in the TerraGo platform will all be available to you through the dashboard. There are 5 modules in our platform. It really manages the full life cycle of these assets or these devices out in the field, as you can see. And we start from the beginning with planning, where that you can be looking at planning a deployment over the next several, 3, 5, 10 years. Also, the planning module allows you to do audits and surveys of those territories and regions, so you know what you're dealing with before you send field crews out into the field. And also that planning module allows for ongoing audits. So as your maintenance crews are out there actually repairing and other types of maintenance activities, they can also be making sure that your data is up to date on an ongoing basis, so you don't have to do surveys and expensive audits down the road. The inventory module is really about a full chain of custody management of all the components, not just one of the devices, all the devices. From manufacturers. So we tie into manufacturers' systems, so you know what's coming, what's being shipped, where it is, all the way through the process. And it's focused on these field deployed smart devices. So your operations team can see where they all are from the time they're manufactured, all the way out to the time when they're deployed in the field, and then back as well. Some come back, return to stock, RMA'd, or maybe even securely disposed of as well. So that module tracks all of that for your operations team. The installation module is exactly that. It really standardizes per device or across devices, depending on how you want to look at that, as far as one installation standard process for your crews, whether they're internal crews or contractor crews. Now you can be rest assured that all of your installs are going through the same process, and you can standardize this across devices. And there can be also very specific call outs for particular devices and what they might need different other devices. The maintenance module is about, once it's installed, as you guys know, it goes right into maintenance mode. So now you have to be monitoring it. So we monitor the devices for, through backend systems, for any kind of comms failures, power outages, device issues, whatever that might be. We'll monitor those, and based on business rules that we work with our customers on, we will then provide maintenance activities, maintenance tasks around that. So, and then once they get the crews get the maintenance tasks, they can go through a standard, just like installation, a standard diagnostic approach. Again, we're not doing the technician's job for them in the field, but we're enabling them to have the right data at their fingertips, the right features and functions to process what they're doing in the field, whether it's repair, or replace, or remove. Allows them all crews, again, employee or contractor, to go through the same diagnostic process, have the same data available to them, such as history of that device, history of power outages, comm failures, whatever it might be of that device, all at the fingertips on their mobile device while they're there at the device. So they have everything they need. They don't have to making phone calls to some operations center. They can do everything they need right there on their mobile device while they're at the device. And the key for our software is, as I mentioned before, efficiency and productivity of your crews. So we really focus on making sure that those crews, while they're there, they get everything they get everything done while they're there the first time. So there's no rolling trucks multiple times to fix one issue. Then I mentioned work orders is the last module, which kind of wraps everything around. And work orders really can do, you can do project-based work orders or individual activity-based work orders. So you can do project audit projects. You can do installation projects by contractor, by crew, by territory, by region. Those can all be wrapped into work orders, so you can track the work process from that perspective, or they can also be integrated with maintenance. So each individual maintenance activity or combined maintenance activities through work order optimization can be also processed through work orders. Work orders can be automatically dispatched, assigned, manage crews, manage trucks. We can, you can do everything to manage your crew process through the work orders as well. On the bottom there, I mentioned earlier what we call iPaaS, which is Integration Platform as a Service, which I'll talk about in more detail on a few slides. But as you can see there, and I'm sure everyone here on this call knows that one of the key things is the data and the systems are not standalone silos. They do need to share data. So we have a whole service focused on that, so we can help our cities and utility customers make sure that these key systems of record, not just TerraGo, but all of your backend systems as well, are all kept up to date and in sync, which is incredibly important. And you can see some of the examples down there, whether it's a meter data management system, a GIS system, outage management, CIS, billing, or asset or other types of systems. All right, next slide. So I mentioned this a little bit before. This is one of our other areas of our platform and our service, which is really important, the analytics. Again, so this is a set of dashboards that works off the same data that is now your operational data in the TerraGo platform, and allows you to look at it from a different perspective, not just day-to-day operations, but really looking at it from a key metric perspective. So all the metrics, this is not fixed to the metrics we think are important. This is actually configured to the metrics that you think are important. We have a lot of best practices. We do consulting and advisory work as well, but we configure this to meet your business metrics, not what we think is important to you. So we'll configure the metrics, and then you can monitor this on a real-time basis. You can see as projects or maintenance activities are happening, you can see how they're actually meeting your metrics in a real-time fashion. That way you can actually adjust and change as you see things happening with the data and in your operation, not wait 6 months to pull a report and see what you didn't do in the last 6 months. You can see it on a day-to-day, hourly basis and make real-time adjustments through your operation to make sure you're not, missing opportunities. These dashboards can work at multiple levels, very tactical level as far as, errors and velocity of crews and how many are we addressing today and all that kind of stuff, and you can react tactically. This can also be at a very high level when you're talking about meeting very high business goals as far as cost savings and overall financial goals of the programs, as well as tactical day-to-day operations. Okay, next one. I think this is my last slide, just to kind of go over what I mentioned earlier is the iPaaS, or Integration Platform as a Service. This is very different than what you'll probably hear from other software vendors, in the sense that this is a completely, it's a full service of integration. So this is not, we share with our customers or our partners a set of APIs or an API document and say, here you go, good luck, have some fun integrating to our software. We take that all on as a service for you. So we have about 12 to 15 different already commercial available connectors to many of the systems out there, backend systems that you may use. And we build more on an ongoing basis with all of our customers. So we continue to build the connectors to these third-party systems. And then, so we build them, we either provide them or build them for and with you. Then we not only maintain the connectors or the API interfaces to these third-party systems, we actually perform monitoring. So we monitor the integrations just like any other network to make sure the integrations, the connectivity is for health. Is it up and running? Is it operational? Is the data flowing like it should be? Are there any issues that should be addressed as far as technical or connectivity goes? And then we'll actually monitor the data flow as well. So when you connect 2, 3, 4, 5 systems, the management of that data gets extremely complex. So we monitor that for you based on business rules and validations that we've configured with and for you. And then any data anomalies or data exceptions, we take care of. So some we can actually take care of ourselves, and we'll do that as part of our service, or others will take some operational knowledge from your teams, and we will work directly with your teams to make sure those exceptions are handled. And then the key thing is learning from those exceptions to build new validations and new rules going forward, so those exceptions don't continue on. And if you don't do this, the data anomalies and data exceptions get completely out of control. Your systems get out of sync, and you spend hours and days and weeks and months trying to fix the data and trying to figure out what is the true source of the right data. And that's a little bit about our company and our platform. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Dave Reef. He's one of our senior project managers. He's been here for several years and worked with many of our customers, cities and utilities. And he's going to do a quick demo of our GridOps platform.
Thanks, Dave. All right, so what I've got pulled up here is a demo server we configured with some of the standard or normal use cases we've seen kind of across our customers to really show all the different modules that Dave talked through, from planning through inventory, install, maintenance, and work orders, just to really show the kind of full life cycle of these smart assets. So just quickly, what I've got pulled up here on the left is is the web application. So this is really used by admins to kind of plan the work at a macro level, see everything across the service territory. So I'm going to load up some data. I'm in Denver, so this is actually going to be right around my house here. So I loaded it up on web. What you'll see is have these clusters. So what these clusters mean is there's actually multiple assets at these locations. So typically the use case we see is that customers will load their infrastructure. So they'll load their things like their poles, their circuits, their transformers, and then they'll dispatch crews out to those to then install the smart devices. So if I turn off the clustering, you'll start to see some of the devices. All of this is really customizable by user and what they want to see. So we can do things like limit what certain users can see. So if you have users that just need to see polls, they'll just see polls, things like that. But at an admin level, we usually give access to everything, and you can turn off things as you want to see them. So for instance, if you're just interested in line sensors, you can turn off everything but the line sensors. So you'll just see the line sensors that are installed. This one is green. I have a device installed there already. So we use symbology to tell you the status of each location. Let me turn everything back on here. So you'll see all the different assets we have in this area. So there's basically everything from the infrastructure, poles, circuits, transformers, to then the smart devices on them. So line sensors, meters, transformer monitors. Up here we have EV chargers, things like that. But all of those devices are completely configurable to what our customers are looking to install. On the right side, let me switch over. This is the web. So this is the mobile. This is the application that the crews would be using. So you'll see right here, this is my dot. This is where I am sitting. The location accuracy on this is usually about 5 meters. I'm inside my house, obviously, so it's a little bit farther than that, but it's going to basically show them in real time where they are in comparison to everything else that they're looking at. So let me turn on all the assets. Like you saw on the web, everything clusters, but just like the admins, the crews have complete control over what they want to see at any given time. So if there's a crew that's just concerned with transformers and transformer monitors, they can turn on just those, and they can see where the locations are that they actually have to do work. All right, so I'm going to turn everything back on. So like I mentioned earlier, I already did some installs down here. So this circuit has been completely modernized with smart grid devices. Up above here on the north, just the north of where I'm sitting. What I've put in here is basically just the initial infrastructure that you would send the crews out to do this deployment on. So we do allow the crews to actually create locations from the field. So for instance, if they're walking this down and they know they need to do a meter installation, we'll say on this yellow house right here, from this button in the right-hand corner, they have the ability to create a meter site. So this is going to create the infrastructure that they then be able to install a meter on. So when I collect this meter site, it asks them to collect some information around the location. This is completely configurable to what the customers would want to, our customers want to see. So for instance, here, I'll just put in a location. We'll call it a test location. We'll add a location for the meter site. So this can actually be done in a few ways. We actually allow the crews to place the pin where they want to put it, or if they're standing at the location, they can use this capture, and it's just going to in real time capture where they're standing. So that actually snapped to my location. But for this one, I'm going to use our target, and I'm going to say I want to install a meter site here on this house. I'm going to say this circuit is actually coming off this pole, so I'm going to keep our electricity all in sync. And then I'm just going to put in an ID here for the circuit and some additional information. So we'll say it's an aerial and it has one line. What you're going to see in real time is that this is going to get created on both my web and my mobile. And let me just refresh this. All right, so you'll see here in real time in the field, it's going to be created so they see the infrastructure they created. And then if an admin is tracking this on web, they're also going to be able to see what the crew is doing out in the field. From there, we actually would allow you to schedule when you want this work to be done. So for instance, if you're going to send a crew back at a later time to go install an AMI meter here, you can click on it on web or mobile. So why don't we do this on the web side? We're going to schedule an AMI meter installation here. Let's say I want this to be done tomorrow at, we'll say done at noon. What that's going to do is it's going to put this into a scheduled state. So you can use this to actually create and schedule your work orders. On the website, the admin is going to be able to see the open work orders. So if I open up this work orders folder down here, you're going to see what I just scheduled. So here's this AMI meter that I scheduled for tomorrow. The admin could then go and assign this out to a crew, basically dispatch it to who they want to go do this work. But from the mobile side, the crew is actually going to be able to come in here and track the data track the installation they did. So if I come back here and I click on this meter site, you'll see I have this option to install an AMI meter. I can then click the install. This is going to give me basically allow the crew to capture whatever information you want them to capture. You'll see I'm getting this warning telling me I'm more than 75 feet away from this. My house is actually down here, so I'm quite a bit away from that, but we're giving them in real-time feedback around whether they're at the correct location. So before they do the install, you're making sure that they're tracking the correct meter to the correct location. For this one, I'm just going to quickly go through the form. If you need them to upload the location, maybe your surveyor got it wrong, you can have them do that. For here, you can have them track what they're taking off. This could also be a scan. So if there's a barcode on the meter they're taking off, they could scan it in. For here, I'm just going to put in some numbers. Typically, what we have them do is scan in what they're installing. So when I click on this scan AMI meter field, you'll see it opens up a QR code scanner. You could just hover it over the barcode on that AMI meter, and then you can ask them to collect any other information you want. If you want them to take a real-time reading, you can have them input the readings they're getting. So we'll just put in some numbers here. And then for everything, we allow photos. So you can have them take as many photos as they want. You can prompt them on what they should be taking. So for this one, I'm just going to take one photo here. I'll take it out my window. So you can have them take photos as they're doing this. And then at the bottom of this form here, you can have them track information around that work order I created. So if they just say, the install went well, I'm going to close the work order, they can do that. If there's additional maintenance that needs to be done, so someone's gonna have to come back, they can actually create a new maintenance work order that'll show up in this work order queue here. So for now, I'm just gonna close this. It's just giving me another warning that I'm not actually at the location. And then in a second here, you'll see it gets installed you'll see it sync up on both web and mobile. So you'll see I have now the AMI meter here installed. That's why there's a 2, because there's a house and a meter here. And then on web in real time, you'll see that I saw the location get updated. So it's showing that there's now an AMI meter installed here, and it's actually tracking. Here's the AMI meter I installed, and it got that from the barcode scan that I did. One more thing to show. So that was basically getting it through an install. We can also show track the maintenance on these things. So when these integrations are live, we can in real time pull the data from these smart devices. So for instance, we'll say if I want to check what the reading is at this meter. We can do that kind of systematically. So we'll pull those down from the other system automatically at whatever intervals you want, or we can force readings. So say we wanted to get a reading from this site on real time. We'll see it turned red here. What it's going to do is actually pull down the meter data around that. So we'll say, hey, this one has a 0. So this house may not have electricity. So the crews would actually know in real time on their device. They can see those real-time readings. Let me sync this up. So you'll see that now they're getting this reading. They're saying, hey, there's no power here. They know they have to go here and troubleshoot it. Once they troubleshoot it, they could then on their device hit, they want to get another reading. It would then in real time pull down a reading, tell them what that is, and update the status. So everything's staying in sync, and you can in real time monitor everything around the grid. That was really the whole, the demo kind of through all the modules, from creating new sites, planning work orders, dispatching crews, installing, and then doing the maintenance on them. One thing I just want to point out on web is we do have some customers who are using this to plan their fiber and their cable deployments. So we do have a functionality where you can actually draw lines on the map for where you want your fiber routes to go. So for instance, if I go into this fab here and I hit create a fiber route, just going to ask me to input some information in so I can get, make sure I'm capturing everything I need to. And then you can draw on the map where you want these routes to go for your planning purposes. So we'll say that I'm going to run some cable along these houses. You can actually just draw in the lines, and just to show you how it works, put it across the street. So we're going to connect all these houses with fiber. We can then add in additional logic around cost estimating or anything like that. This can be completely driven off your business logic. So if you have a set cost per foot that we would just run it in here. But for instance, if you say, hey, this is going to cost $10 per foot, we'll automatically calculate how long this is going to be, and then we can generate a cost for you on what it will take to install that. And then you'll see here it got created as well. All right. That was really all I wanted to get through with the demo. I'll turn it back over to Dave and we can get into Q&A.
Thanks, Dave. We appreciate everybody staying on with us and getting through the presentation and demonstration. We appreciate all the questions that are coming in as well. So I think we have a few questions that Madison is going to go ahead and ask the three folks, the three of us on the panel. We'll try to do our best to answer them.
All right, let's get into them. First question we have is, can you give us some examples of the types of grid sensors you support today?
I'll take a first cut at that one. That's the types of grid sensors we support today are many and varied. Power line sensors, electric line sensors for smart grid monitoring, power transformer monitors. We do a lot of projects where we have numerous types of devices, right? So we have air quality sensors and traffic video cameras for measuring carbon footprint and the association of those different types of data points for a large city. Traffic video cameras and smart streetlights for variable lighting and energy savings. Power grid management tied to the maintenance of the grid. Traffic management systems, smart streetlights. We have also done projects with fiber deployment and 5G small cell deployments, meters, access points and relays for networks, for backhaul networks. So really all, and I'm sure maybe Dave, you could probably think of other devices, either Dave. But yeah, we've done all different types of devices. Like streetlights have been the most common product that's been deployed by our city and utility customers, but they're quickly bolting on other types of smart grid sensors and things like that to the grid as well.
And in addition to that, solar panels, EV charging stations, other things that also tie on to the grid as well.
All right. Next question. What types of mobile devices does your application require? Support for both iOS and Android?
I'll take that one. So yes, that's actually correct. We It's one core piece of software, commercially available software. We don't do any custom development. We only do configuration for our customers. So it's one core mobile platform that does run on both natively on both iOS and Android. I think I mentioned before, but also phones and tablets. It's all the same source code, so it all runs. It's all the same user experience across the devices. You can have a complete hybrid device deployment across your field crews. It doesn't matter. They don't have to all be iOS or Android. They can be or phones or tablets. They can just be a whole hybrid version of all those. They just pull down the app from the app stores, and you provide them, or we provide them, secure credentials to the AWS server that we're hosting on your behalf, and off they go to. They have access to the data and to the features, but only through permissions that we have granted them. So they only see what they need. The mobile apps are one key attribute of the mobile apps is they are fully standalone mobile apps. So they have their own database on board, and everything you do in the field is working on a local database, which means you can be offline or online, and the field crews have full functionality. The synchronization between the mobile apps and the server is in the back end and is automatic and does not impact the user whatsoever. So the mobile apps are always looking for the server. When they have it and they have an online connection, they will do a two-way synchronization for that mobile app. And again, nothing that the user has to worry about.
Can you customize, oh, sorry. Can you customize the app for different types of crews, contractors, and the type of work order?
Yeah, I can take that one. So yes, we can. Everything is permissions based, so we can set up roles for all the different type of workers, crews, contractors you have, and limit what data they can see, and then also what workflows they can use. So each different user group can have their own workflows that require them to collect different information and have different business rules applied to them. And then as far as customizing by type of work order, absolutely. And just like the roles we can provide, we can do different business logic on each different work order. So if they need to be prioritized differently or routed differently, that's all things that we can build in based on your business logic.
Okay. Next question. What if we already have an enterprise asset management platform? Does your system provide integration out of the box for EAM platforms?
Yeah, I'll jump in for that one. Yes, so I kind of addressed a little bit, but on the iPaaS side, so integration platform as a service, typically, actually all of our customers ask us to integrate into their enterprise asset management system. That's always a critical one, just like GIF and some others. The asset management is one of the most popular ones that we actually do integrate to. We have standard connections to some of the big asset management systems like ABB's Asset Suite, IBM's Maximo, SAP, just to name a few of the big ones we've done many times with connectors. But we do anything from, we have some customers that have in-house written asset management systems up to, SAP and anything in between. So we work very closely with standard interfaces like REST API and others. So we absolutely do interfacing to your enterprise asset management system.
All right. Can your app include step-by-step procedural and safety safeguards and provide alerts if a safety violation occurs?
Yeah, I can take that. And I actually think that I see Izzy's question in the Q&A is similar to that, just around data validations and step-by-step procedures and safeguards. So yeah, absolutely, all of that is configurable. Pretty common ones we see are things on data validations on scans. So if people are scanning things in incorrect formats, validate them and give them real-time feedback. We can also do any kind of feedback on the workflows that you want. So a typical one that I've seen with my customers is when they're inputting information around fixtures they're installing. If they're selecting things like, a 2000 watt HPS, we can provide them real-time feedback to let them know that, hey, that does not exist and you can't input this. But all of that's completely configurable to the business logic that our customers provide.
Okay, we have a few more questions left. Does your platform provide predictive maintenance features?
I'll take that one. Yeah, we meet our customers on that kind of spectrum from the reactive maintenance and doing the best they can with new technology that enables like rapid reactions. So think of in the past when someone have to call and say, hey, we've got no power, or we've got no, or streetlights out, or somebody's going to tell you that. Now today, there's no reason to wait for that. And that's one of the best things with the service levels is you're actually able to see where the outages occur, react quickly, and fix them the most efficient and cost-effective way possible, consolidating truck rolls and working smarter from a reactive maintenance point of view when you do actually have an outage of some type of an asset. And then you get to preventative, and a lot of our customers do inspection cycles, and those inspection cycles feed workflows to create like, well, things as simple as I've got to have a vegetation removed from a power line or things like that. But those preventative maintenance cycles that allow them to make sure they're maintaining these assets before problems occur. Predictive maintenance is really where the power of our integration, our analytics comes into play as well. We have business rules to be able to establish and identify patterns in the data and thresholds that say it now becomes a wise asset maintenance decision to replace something because we've seen X amount of these types of failures, which lead us to believe there is an issue with this type of an asset. So it might be like a low voltage condition or something like that on a circuit, or a network communication with a device that just says, let's replace the network controller portion of that component before the entire thing fails. So that's, again, the whole spectrum from the most efficient modernization of reactive maintenance to preventative and to predictive as well, based on using that data. And that's one of the opportunities with smart grid operations is there's so much data coming in, the system learns and becomes more efficient with the whole spectrum of maintenance, including predictive maintenance.
Okay. What is the smallest microgrid you've serviced thus far, and what is the largest in terms of either footprint or number/extent of assets, generation, storage capacities?
I'll take that one. So we do scale down and up because of the flexibility of our software and our platform and our cloud platform, which is an AWS. We have all different sizes. So we actually scale down to, and this includes price as well as technically, we scale down to some of our smallest customers have a couple of 100 devices that they manage on a regular basis. And that's how big they are. They're small munis, small towns, or whatever they might be. And they're only managing, one or two types of devices at this point in time. They start small. So it's a few hundred. And then we have some of our largest cities like Chicago and others, and some of the bigger utilities manage multiple millions of devices on our platform. So it's not just 8 million, it's several million devices on our platform. So we scale down to very small and up as well to extremely large.
Okay, we have just two last questions here. Is there a limit on how many points you can view at a time?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's kind of like the last one, a little bit kind of an add-on to that. There is no limit. It's like I said, we have the larger customers that have several million devices on our platform. There's no limit to how many you have and how many you can view on a map. There's a lot of logic and user configuration to make sure you know what you're looking at and you only want to look at the things that you need to look at. But there's no limit from a technical or scalability perspective. That would just be from a feature function perspective for each user to see what they need. If they need to see everything all at one time, that works. Or if they only need to see certain things based on certain criteria, they can do that as well, very simply. And all those user preferences are per user, so they're saved per user. So however you configure the way you view the world of all the devices stays with you, and every other user has their own view of the same world.
Okay, and our last question, kind of a two-parter. What is the average annual cost to implement in a city? Do you have a smart grid with cameras for traffic?
Yeah, the first part of that is kind of also related to the scalability that I mentioned. So It's hard to kind of say average because we have such a diversity of size, but I can give you somewhat of a range where, so it all depends on number of devices you're managing. It's per module. Remember, there are 5 modules, so it's modularized. You can pick 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 modules. It also includes number of integrations on the back end. So there's different components of the price, but our smallest customers, will spend a few $1,000s a year with us. And then our largest customers could spend up to several $100,000 a year. So it's kind of hard to say there's an average, but there's certainly a range. It's not millions a year, and it's not pennies a year, but it's again depends on the size and how many devices. The last one about the smart grid with cameras for traffic. Yes, so we have actually several production implementations with cameras, traffic cameras, and then correlating that data with other types of sensors as well, whether they're smart grid sensors or air quality sensors or street lights or traffic signals. So many of our applications include cameras correlated with other types of devices as well, smart grid or otherwise.
All right, we will be sending out a follow-up email after the webinar with our contact information, so you can reach out to us with any more questions you may have, as well as a recording of today's webinar, so you can go back and rewatch any parts you want to, share it with your coworkers. So thank you all again for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thanks, everybody.